going on is that they've called in Larry, what's his name? Forget his name. Kevin O'Leary, yeah, that's his name. One of the one of the well the least significant person on Shark Tank in my opinion. So they've called him to talk about Bitcoin as they usually do. I don't know why these news channels always call back Kevin O'Leary. It's like they also have some hidden agenda in watching the fall of Bitcoin because it doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, his position on Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin is soaring and it hits new highs, the person they call is Kevin O'Leary. And they say, come on to our show, tell us more about why it's going to crash, tell us more about why it's a fraud, tell us more about why it's going to, people are going to cry. And I don't know if everyone else is seeing this. It's always a trend. Whenever Bitcoin is doing well and soaring and hitting all new time highs, the first person they call is Kevin O'Leary, a guy who has $100 in Bitcoin. Now, I'm not trash talking and saying that, listen, that's insignificant for someone who has money in it. My point is that if you, it's like asking me to come comment on the swimming Olympics. I'm not involved in swimming, so why would you call me to come comment on the swimming Olympics? You know, so why ask someone who isn't involved in cryptos to come and comment about? Now this guy right here who's talking, he is heavily involved in cryptos. I forgot what company he runs, but I know he runs a really big fund, which is heavily in cryptos, and he really understands cryptos. I mean, he's talked about how it's a store of value for people who don't know how to invest their own money or where to keep their own money. And he's talked about how it's great, as it's going to be a form of currency. Somehow digital currency is going to be a form of currency. It's a great store of value, especially for the layperson, and you just want to get involved, even if it's a bubble. Who cares? Most things are bubbles anyways. And he also talked about Apple, and he said, listen, if you look at Apple has crashed twice. Apple stock has crashed twice in that it's had two drawdowns of over 90%, which is more than Bitcoin's drawdown. So he was like, why didn't you call Apple a bubble? Why are you calling Bitcoin a bubble and not Apple? You've completely jumped over Apple and you've headed straight for Bitcoin, which is something I'm also curious in, which is like, okay, fine. If you're going to talk about bubbles, let's also talk about Apple. So was Apple a bubble? And then Kevin is just like, no, anyways, he says he invested $100 and then things went sideways. He nearly lost all his money. And I find it weird how if he's lost 100, he's nearly lost $100. Why is he coming to comment if he's going to lose $100, right? He's on $50 as he claims. So I'm like, why are you commenting over $100 and trying to drive the price down? Which is, I think, his main ammo here, which is that he just wants to drive the price down. Either he shorted Bitcoin because he thought it was going to blow down and has money in it. He lost a lot of money because of the huge spike up. And or what could have happened is that he was involved in Bitcoin. He bought at the wrong time, at one of those huge drawdowns, and he lost a lot of money. He claims that's not the case. He claims that he didn't invest more than $100. So I'm like, if he lost 50% of his $100 account, why is he so concerned? And why is he like, I mean, imagine, think of it for yourself, leaving your home, showering, leaving your home, eating breakfast, driving all the way to a news channel, different news channels for that matter, just to talk about the $50 you lost. It just seems bizarre. So my ammo and my conspiracy is that this guy either shorted, lost a lot of money, and wants to get a good timing of shorting in the Bitcoin. Or number two, he's trying to drive the price down so he can enter again and buy Bitcoin, which we've seen a lot of billionaires have done this. They've trash talked Bitcoin and then they've dived in. But I remember specifically Bill Gates. We're going to talk about Bill Gates. He also did the same thing. He was standing next to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and he talked about how Bitcoin he would short it if it was possible. And then he comes up and he says cryptocurrencies are going to change the world. Literally, that's Kevin O'Leary and Bill Gates are one and the same person. They, they go where the wind blows. Wherever the wind is blowing, they're going. So they were one of the first people who trash talked Bitcoin. And then all of a sudden, I hear that Bill Gates wants to get involved with Ripple and Africa. And I'm thinking, wasn't he the same guy who was against cryptocurrencies? Now he's talking about how they're going to change the world. It's very confusing, and I think it's just because they didn't make money off of the first move. That's why these billionaires trash talk it. Obviously, if you're getting involved in Ripple, yet you trash talk Bitcoin, it's clear that you're bitter that you didn't get into Bitcoin. So now you want to get into the next crypto, which is Ripple, and which is what these guys want to do. I don't know where Kevin has put his money, and I can't say, but in these coming months, we'll already see what the effects of regulations are going to have. We can't completely deny his concerns about regulation and how that's going to affect the price. But what we know for sure is that this huge surge up has happened even despite talks of regulations and despite the Trump administration pushing to have, secure regulations in place before they leave. This surge up has occurred despite that. And the biggest effect we've seen with regulations so far is in November when the regulations were introduced. Bitcoin took $1,000 dive. So he has some valid point, which is that the regulation of Bitcoin will affect its price. I don't think it will completely destroy Bitcoin because it would have done that in November. But we've clearly seen this huge surge up. Then on the last note, he said that institutions aren't involved in Bitcoin. He doesn't know any sovereign funds, he doesn't know any hedge funds or any big institutions involved because they fear the regulator. Now that I can tell you is complete hogwash and nonsense at its best, because this huge spike up could not be retail. This huge spike up is definitely not retail. That's not my opinion. If you go look at a lot of research, economic researchers who've talked about this, Business Insider has done interviews on economists who've commented, and they've talked about this huge surge up, and it's because of institutions. Obviously, institutions contract economists to advise them, and they have said that these institutions are involved in cryptocurrencies. And anyone who tells you they're not is lying. This huge surge up has been caused by institutions, despite what Kevin is saying, and also the concern, well, not the concern, the interest of the regulator has been caused by institutions being involved. Regulators would not be caring if this was ordinary retailers moving their money back and forth. They wouldn't care. They care now because big institutions are getting involved, and now big money is being moved, and obviously that's when regulators get involved. So let's see whether Kevin will be correct. I'm just a sideline speculator. I'm a sideline speculator. I wouldn't say like Kevin because I'm not a skeptic. I obviously clearly know that there's use and there's benefit with Bitcoin and blockchain. I'm not like Kevin. I can clearly see that there's benefits to this. But the difference between Kevin and I is that, listen, I'm not going to trash talk something that I don't have money in it. I'm not going to trash talk something that I have also just started learning about. I'm willing to learn, willing to be convinced. But this guy clearly has an agenda. And let's see if he's correct.